Hello, welcome to Big Conversations with T. Um, the first segment of our show is parenting an autistic child, and this is the first time we're doing that on Jesus. This is the first time we're having big conversations, and what we are doing is back-to-back conversations on issues that matter to not just me but to everyone in our community. Autism or autism spectrum disorder (ASD) refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behavior, speech, and nonverbal communication. According to Centers for Disease Control, autism affects an estimated 1 in 44 children in the United States today. And as you would know, April is World Awareness Month. We know that there's not one autism, but many subtypes, most influenced by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Because autism is a spectrum disorder, each person with autism has a distinct set of strengths and challenges. The ways in which people with autism learn, think, and problem solve can range from highly skilled to severely challenged. And some people with autism may require significant support in their daily lives, while others may need less support and, in some cases, live entirely independently. You, McCannon, you are the author of My Voice, My Life, My Story, and this sort of documents the beautiful story as you raise your autistic son. Welcome to Big
Yes.
Conversations tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, C. Thank you for having me. This means a lot to me. Yeah, it's good to
It's
be here.
really, I want, thank you, Leah. I want to come into your world because I don't know, and as it's an awareness, I want us to tell us. Let's start with, why did you write the story? Why was it important for the world to hear what your life is being a parent to an autistic child?
Yeah, well, with autism, it's a different world. It's when your child is not growing typically, and you realize, oh no, there's something wrong, and you go through the process of going through the doctors, getting the diagnosis, and you start living the life, and you realize that it's a different world, and not many people understand that. Even as a parent, you're navigating through it, and you're learning everything as you're doing it, and seeing my son, I always wondered what would he have said if he were able to talk. What would he have said about each and every experience that he has? And as a mother, because instinctively you know how they're feeling. You can read their language, right? Even though they're not talking. And seeing that, I could see that not many people understand, how their world is and what they experience, and every time we interact with them, how they feel. So I wanted to bring that out. I wanted that to be a conversation. And the reason why I decided to do a children's book is because because adults read to their kids. It's going to be a good opportunity for both adults and children to begin to understand the world of autism. And It's a good conversation starter. It's a good opportunity for kids to learn, because as I've worked in school settings, and I've seen how people, like even yeah, young kids don't understand why their classmate is acting a certain way, why they're having a tantrum, why they're not talking to them, why they're not socializing with them. And I feel like this is a good opportunity for kids to even have the conversation. Why is, and even in school settings where teachers can read this to their students, and they can initiate a conversation. And as adults, teachers can also learn, oh, maybe I'm not seeing this child as they need to be seen. So I thought it was a good conversation starter. That's why I wanted to bring that out. Yeah.
Mm. So, did you know when you were pregnant that your son was going to be autistic, or was after he was born that you started to notice that some things
Yeah.
were different?
No, it was after he was born. He was actually a very bright boy. He would interact with us. He would respond to his name, until like 18 months. 2 years. We were confused because he stopped responding to his name, and then he wanted to be all he's by himself, like behind the door, under the mattress, trying to hide, not wanting to be with us, not seeing us eye to eye. And at first I thought it was a hearing problem, because he was not responding. It's as if he wouldn't hear us. But when the TV is on and he's in his room and he hears something, he comes running to see what it is. So I knew it wasn't a hearing problem. So it was after he was born that he got diagnosed with autism. It wasn't when I was pregnant. Yeah.
So, when we look at the sort of support that has been available for you, how have you coped with having an autistic child? Because they're extraordinarily different and
Yeah.
special in their own ways.
Yeah. Well, as an African immigrant, I would like to give a perspective of both African context and Canadian context. So, when my son was diagnosed, we were still living in Ethiopia. And when the doctor told me his diagnosis, he helped me focus on the solution. It's that tendency, right? In Africa, doctors don't necessarily break down every little detail of the bad news. They just give you a general picture, right? So that helped me a lot, and he helped me focus. Let's focus on this because we see that he's in the spectrum, but you can do this, you can do this. So I was focused on that. So, well, another challenge we have is, though the diagnosis came, in a much better way, there aren't a lot of supports in Ethiopia around autism. So I had to look for people. I had to go stretch myself to get speech and other services. But we eventually came to Canada, and of course my thought was, of course we're going to be in Canada, the service is going to be great and everything. But we had to get a diagnosis again, and then navigating through the school system, navigating through getting a service. Like, it was really challenging, even though we are in Canada, where even Alberta is much better than many other provinces in this regard. But still, I had to work hard. Lucky for me, I had a lot of moms that I knew, like who already went through the system, so I had that support. But overall, even though the systems are there, sometimes the people who are in the system may not be as compassionate, as understanding as they need to be. So sometimes, when I remember when the doctor gave us the diagnosis again, it was as if she was so gloomy, like it was the worst news on earth. And she was telling us, your son probably will not be able to do this, will not be able to do this. So we're like, what is he going to be able to do? So it takes away your hope, when you hear the diagnosis sometimes. But thank God, with the services that are available at a government level, you know I was able to get specialized services for 3 years, which means like people would come to my house, help me, with speech, to teach him speech, to teach him self-help skills, to help manage his behavior. So I really benefited from that. And then I also taught myself, I was curious. So whenever people came to my house, I would sit with them. I would just let them work on my son. I would sit with them and learn everything that they were doing so that I would do it every day, right? So that was really helpful. There is support from the government, and I'm also part of a big support group now, that has been really phenomenal, because we exchange a lot of information, we exchange a lot of ideas, we exchange a lot of our experiences, and that has been really, really helpful to navigate through autism. So, in a nutshell, this is what I've had as a support.
Mm. I'm a mom and you're a mom, but the kind of mother you are, is nearly same as me, but a bit more intense for you because you're dealing with an extraordinary child. So what can your son do? What's your son's name, by the way?
His name is Robbie. His full
Okay.
name is Robel, which means Ruben. And he's 13 now. I can't believe he's a 13-year-old. Like, he's very tall. He's hit puberty early, so we're also dealing with that. And he's nonverbal in terms
Doesn't
of
speak at all.
like, yeah. What was that? Sorry.
He doesn't speak at all.
He doesn't. He only
Non-verbal.
uses his device to talk to us. So whenever he needs something, he has an iPad and he would touch, icons on the iPad and he would talk to us on the iPad. Um, and then in terms of cognitive abilities, it's not academic at all. He hates it. Basically, he hasn't learned much, but he knows facts like names of animals and colors and stuff. He knows those kind of things. But he loves cooking. He loves to cook with me. So every time I'm cooking, he's my sous chef. He's always with me, cooking with me. He loves nature walks. So we do a lot of long, especially during the summertime. We do a lot of long nature walks. He's so into nature. So yeah, these are basically what he can do. He understands him. When we give him basic directions, and he's learning every day more and more. Yeah, that's where he's at basically.
You're right that he loves exploring. Talk
Oh
to us
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an innate thing that we have in our like nature as human beings, but I think it's more expressed because they're not so socially defined. Autistic kids, they're very natural, they're very organic, so they're always up to like their feelings. Like, so he loves touching things, like spinning them, looking them here and there around, feeling their textures. He's not afraid of textures. He's one of those kids you'd call hyposensitive, which means they don't sense things that easily. So he wants to touch things. So he would touch the tree, he would touch the stick, he would touch anything around him just to explore anything new. So he wants to understand what it is, and he doesn't understand, complicated concepts, but he learns as he touches things, as he's experiencing it, as he's doing it. So like, for example, if we talk about cooking, he learned the steps of cooking by doing it with me. Every time he observes me, he's watching, he's smelling, he's touching it, he's even touching the food as it's cooking. Of course, we try to make it as safe as possible because we don't want him to burn, but he's always into exploration. So anytime we take him to a new place, that's why he loves those nature walks, because he gets to see a lot of things as he goes for a walk. He gets to see cars going around, animals, trees, whatnot, the sky. There's a lot to see. There's a lot of color. It's so beautiful for him. So anytime he sees snow, he would touch it. He would grab anything. So that's how he learns. That's basically his learning tool. So exploration is something that he does with passion, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So at his school, so he goes to a specialized school, I understand.
Yes.
What is his world like? How have you been able to protect him from children who stare, children who might be intimidated um, by him, or who just don't
I mean,
understand him?
yeah. When we got in the community, the first thing I do is anytime people are curious, I tell them right away because I want them to know. I feel like that's also my opportunity to teach, right? So I tell them, sorry if my son is bothering you, he's in the autism spectrum. Sometimes because he could be on people's spaces, right? So I just let them know ahead of time. In terms of kids, I mean, yeah, sometimes kids are intimidated when, for example, when we go to the park. Some kids are compassionate. They try to interact with him. They're curious. Why doesn't he talk? Why is he doing these things? Why is he flapping his hand? They're curious and they're willing to learn. Other kids are really intimidated and they run away. It's their choice, honestly speaking. And he's not affected because socially he doesn't mind. He doesn't know those cues, so he doesn't mind it. He doesn't feel offended. Um, Actually, sometimes it's his brother or us who get offended when kids are kind of. There was I think a day when my other son's school kids were making fun of him. My son Robbie doesn't understand because he doesn't know the social cues, right, like us. So, but in terms of school, what I like about the specialized services in the school or the special classes is their needs are accommodated. So like they have sensory breaks. Like if he's fidgeting, if he's not settled, they would give him opportunities to jump on the trampoline or do a static bike, whatever, and then or they give him a fidget. And the class is not as structured as regular classes, so they have opportunities to cook, to plant trees, to do a lot of fun things and do a lot of sensory things which accommodates their needs. And at the same time they teach them concepts, they teach them like numbers and whatever they need to learn, whatever they can capture, they teach them as they're doing all these things, but it's not as intense and as structured as a regular class. That's why what I like about it. But in terms of other kids bullying him, so far we haven't had many instances where he was bullied. Yeah,
Okay. I
but
want you to. Sorry.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go
So,
ahead. No,
no,
it's
go
okay.
on.
No, I've said it. Like when we go out in the community, I'm always his voice, and I make sure that people understand where he's coming from when he's making noises or where he's in their spaces. Yeah.
Mm. So your Robbie has been a blessing to you in so many ways, and it's gotten you maybe out of your comfort zone more to advocate for him, to advocate for you, to be his defender. And I'm just wondering if you were reflecting right now, how would you itemize the the things he's brought to your life? You know, the
Mhm.
blessings you might not otherwise have been open to without him. Because every child comes with a set of angels and blessings.
Oh, I agree with you very much. For me, the most important thing is I don't think I would have had the relationship that I have with God right now if it wasn't for Robbie,
Mm.
because I had to rely on God for many things to be sent to continue to do what I needed to do. I really needed to rely on God because sometimes your world doesn't make sense, and you look at other people and they're living life, and your world doesn't make sense. The only way it would make sense is if you're with God. So I feel like my relationship with God wouldn't have been the same. Um, it has made me more compassionate. It has made me realize potentials that I have. It has made me an advocate in my community for other kids too. It has made me a better person in terms of giving for others because I know what they're going through. So trying to be there for others is much easier when you know what other people are going through. So I feel like I've learned a lot about child development. If it weren't for Robbie, I wouldn't have read all these things about child development. Now I know a lot. Even my career has shifted because of him. I was doing more of public health related work when I was back home, but here I focused on, learning more about these things. And that's how I ended up working in schools, as an EA, as a multicultural animator. And it was because of him. And I feel like our family is tighter, more blessed, more humility is added in our lives. You become more humble because of this experience. So, as a family, I think we're brought together because of Robbie. Yeah, I
Mm.
mean, I could go on, I could go on the whole day, but yeah, these are the main ones. I think. Yeah.
And I really appreciate how vulnerable when you say you show more empathy, is directed your career path, you're more humble, and you rely on God more. Because I've got a question here, like how do you get comfort through prayer? This is such a big thing, and I know from my own Christian background that there's some life situations you're not equipped to go through alone. That there's a place for God, there's a place for belief, there's a place for prayer. And I wanted to say thank you for sharing that. I think Robbie has come into your life, our lives, as an angel, as a miracle. And I'm just wondering,
Yes.
as his mom, what do you think he may be trying to tell the world? What do you think his story is? If he could say anything right now, what would he be trying to communicate with us?
I think "Let me be me" is the main thing that he would say because that's what he does. Like when we are trying to condition him to do certain things, he'd be really frustrated and he would express it in his own way. And it's like I can understand. Please, mom, let me be me. Let me cook the way I want to cook. Let me run around the way I want to run around. Let me do things the way I want to do things. So that's what I hear from him every time he's reacting to some of the things that I do with him. So I think he's telling us, please let me be me. I'm okay being me, you know. And it's okay to be me. And sometimes please join my world. Come walking with me, come explore with me, come build with me, come cook with me. He's happy. He's happy to be with people, and he knows people when they're genuine with him. Like when we go to church and the people are genuine with him, he goes to them and says hi to them. When we go into the community, when in the school. So I think he's telling us, please let me be me, and when you can, join my world. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, as your community, what can we do to help? I know first and foremost, buy your book.
That would be
Uh,
lovely. Yes. Really,
well,
because I think you everybody will learn a lot from it. Yeah. I
okay.
hope.
We'll come back to your book in a minute. I just wanted to ask, how can we support you? Um, how do we reach out to you? And well, you already have your own community. You said you have a group of mothers, maybe with autistic children, and you have a network. But even at church, how what sort of language or vocabulary would you want people to use in? I don't know if that's even a fair question or a compassionate way to
Um,
reason right now.
yeah. No, I know what you're asking, T. I understand what you mean. For me, and it could be anyone. Honestly speaking, it doesn't have to be only kids in the spectrum. When you see someone different from you,
Hmm.
please take time to know them. Just take a break, because
Hmm.
it's easier to judge and like, why are they wearing that? Why are
Hmm.
they acting this way? It's easy. It's very easy. And anywhere, in any context, particularly when you see a child having a tantrum in the store, please be compassionate. Take time. Not Don't judge that parent. Say, okay, maybe if you can help, you can help. Ask if you can help. If they don't need your help, then respect that, because they have their own way of dealing with it, right? When even a church, it could be on in the mosque, anywhere in a community setting where you see kids acting like this or acting different, just take your time, deep breath, and say, what could possibly be wrong with this child? What could possibly be wrong with this person? Because you just never, never, never know what that person is going through, what that child is going through. And there is always an explanation behind a behavior. There's always an explanation behind a challenge. So taking the time to do that really helps. And then, as I said, offering help when you can. If they need, like, for example, if it's in the store and they're struggling between the child and the stuff that they're doing, just ask them, how can I help? Offering that help really helps. But stop judging, be compassionate is the main message that I have for people. Take your time to know that
Hmm.
person, that child.
And this is something most of us don't spend enough time doing. And I know when I first met you, you reminded me of a friend I had in England,
Yeah.
Mrs. Akande.
Yeah.
And I did a double take. I said it cannot be Mrs. Akande right here. You guys look alike.
Yeah.
And to now find out that you wrote this very beautiful book, and this is us talking. And I know we don't, most of us just live these crazily busy lives, and we
Yeah.
don't often take time to understand our struggles. um so how can we, knowing about autism, where can we find your book? How can we buy your book? What should we be
Okay.
doing to support autism in our community generally, or parents with autism right now?
Um, my book is available on Indigo and Chapters online and Amazon.ca online. So it's a print on demand kind of sales. This is my first time ever doing it, so that was the better route that I needed to take. So it's print, like, so you can only find it online. With the good thing with Indigo and Chapters is if you order it online, they can deliver it to a store that is near you, so you don't have to pay a delivery fee. So you can pick it up at any store close to you. um, And in terms of supporting families, I think initiating the conversation in your community is the most important thing. Initiating that conversation would make people feel comfortable because, unfortunately, there are a lot of African kids that are being diagnosed in the spectrum. Me working in the school setting has taught me that, you see it's visible, but parents are hiding because it's a taboo to talk about mental health. It's a taboo to talk about this kind of challenges in our community. So initiating the discussion at your community level, could be a church, it could be any community gathering. Talk about it, initiate it, and you'll see parents coming forward. They'll feel more comfortable. They feel more understood that, okay, someone understands maybe what I'm going through, and helping them come together. When parents who are going through the same thing come together, they can help each other in an amazing way, because there's something one parent doesn't know, another one knows, and they support each other. That's what happened in our support group. And then invite us. Honestly, if you have any gathering, at church or any gathering that you have, invite one of us. We'll come and share our experiences. We'll teach whatever we know, because we learned it as living it, right? So I think the best thing to do is initiating the conversation around autism,
Mm.
as you're doing now with this radio, honestly.
Thank you, Lee. We're running out of time. Where can people go to find help? And you briefly mentioned that taboo. And I know in maybe some African cultures, what they'd rather do is to send the kid to church for prayers and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, autism, I don't know if prayers can take it away. I'm just wondering where can people go to
Well,
find
I mean,
support.
yeah, I like, definitely relying on prayer has helped me, has helped our family. But one of the things that I learned through my prayer is to do my share. So I have a share in healing my son, and God has his role, his biggest role, but I have a share as a parent. So we there is a government agency called FACD, that's Family Support for Disability, in Edmonton. So that's the first step. And then, if they don't have a diagnosis, go to their doctors, get a diagnosis. It takes time to get diagnosis, so contact FSCD. FSCD is who gives you the therapeutic services. So they're the one who facilitate that. They cover a lot of services, like people would come and teach you how to teach your child to talk, self-help and stuff. And another thing is they would pay for someone who does babysit for you. It's called respite work. So people would come and play with your child, and then government covers that cost. There is an allotted hour per year that they give for a family, so you can use that. So FSCD is the main agency, and then going to your doctor. Go to your doctor, talk to them, and it would be, yeah.
Hmm. Thank you, Lee. We've come to the end. It's just occurred to me I could have put all these little snippets, so
Yeah.
anyone just tuning in can follow what we've been talking about. Parenting Robbie, our Robbie, with Leo. Okay. You've written
Yeah.
this amazing book, which we're urging people to go and buy. My Voice, My Life, My Story, and we're meeting Robbie here as a mighty explorer. It's an amazing sense of curiosity. And this book is also World Book Day, actually, today.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
It
Happy
is
World Book
World,
Day. I
and
s- yeah.
the final question would be, what book would you recommend for people to go buy or read?
We do have a lot of books around autism. Of course, this is number one for me, of course. Yeah. But yes, there are a lot of books that helped me. I wasn't prepared for this, but maybe one thing. I forgot the title. Oh, More Than Words. More Than Words is a book that has helped a lot of families, understanding their child in the spectrum and learning what to do. So, More Than Words is one of the best self-help books for parents.
Okay.
It's called
I'm
More Than
afraid
Words.
more than words. Thank you so much, Lee
Yes,
McConnell. I
my pleasure, T.
My
Thank you
my
so much for
heart
having
is
me.
with you from a mother to another mother,
Thanks.
and I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners will be encouraged at your courage, at your faith, at the brilliant work you're doing with Robbie right now. So we'll let you go now. big
Thank you so
conversations,
much.
big
Yeah.
conversations carries on right after this. So thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you. Thank you, T. Okay. Bye. Have a good night.
Oh, hello, welcome to Big Conversations with T. And to be fair, last time I did a big show like this was in October, during the election night, October 18th to be precise. And I promised myself I would never do it again. And what do you know? I'm back at it tonight. We have an interesting lineup. I was really moved by the conversation with Lee McConnell, and it takes the awesome grace of God to parent, to mother an extraordinary child, like Arabi, and my heart goes to mothers and parents with children on the autistic spectrum. So I hope this month we all can learn something, learn more about autism. We can go find out to know how we can support that behavior in our actions and so on, and maybe not judge when we see parents at superstore struggling with their kids throwing a tantrum. It's 7:32 p.m. and I'd like to introduce our next conversation. Our next big conversation is with Pastor D Adekugbe. She's based out in Calgary and she's the founder of Roots House. And she joins us to talk about domestic violence in our community, in African communities. So we recorded this earlier this week, and I genuinely hope it plays well. So do enjoy listening to the conversation we passed today earlier this week.
In crisis. And so we were helping people behind closed.
Okay, I think this banner is better, so I'm just gonna. Here it goes. How I met you with your media. Hello, welcome to Conversations with T Adeyemo. Today we have a special guest, Pastor D Adekugbe, and she joins us to talk about Roots House and a lot more. Welcome, Pastor D. Thank you so much for joining Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So I've been following you for a little bit, and when we spoke in the morning, I told how I met you with your media blitz around the mayor of Edmonton. Can you tell us how the idea for Roots House got started?
So as a pastor, I in the community, I work with a lot of individuals who are needing help, not only from the church, but from the community itself. And so during the pandemic, we had a lot of requests for support from families that were struggling with their marriage, families in crisis. And so we were helping people behind closed doors, underground, one family at a time. And then this year, my team and I were thinking about how to celebrate my birthday. And I remember just hearing this voice in the middle of the night saying, it's time to launch out into the deep and help more people. This is not the time to retreat. This is the time to go deeper. And I shared it with my team and I said, this is the idea that I'm having. And they said, yes, let's do this. And overnight, within 4 weeks, what we have been doing in the secret came out into the open. I'm a pastor, so I can literally say that what we've been doing in secret, God brought out into the open for us.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's talk about some of the work you've been doing in secret. How bad is domestic violence in African communities?
Domestic violence in African community, like any other community, is pretty bad. It's a global pandemic. It's not just within the African community. It's in every community around the world. And over the last few years, it has gotten worse because of the COVID pandemic that we had, and families that were told to stay home. As people were told to stay home, the pressure, the stress, the anxiety levels increased. And, people's finances were put on the strain, relationships were put on the strain. And rather than turning to each other for support, many families were turning on each other instead. And so across the world, across the globe, the domestic violence has increased significantly. And because I work within the African community, I've also seen that increase, pertaining to my community. And I'm seeing that, hold on a minute, as people are coming into Calgary, the stress, they come with visions, they come with ideas, they come with passion, but they also come with mindsets that everything's going to be rosy. And they encounter problems and trials and tribulations. And they, rather than seek supports that are readily available, they begin to turn the anger and frustration on each other. And so there's been a significant increase in families struggling with abuse in our city, prompting us to say we gotta do something about this.
Okay, I want us, before we look at what you do at Roots House, let's talk about the effect of faith. I understand that. Okay, let me just ask you this fairly and squarely: does faith stop or help aggression? So if I say I speak in tongues, does it mean, or people who speak in tongues who go to church, would they be less abusive or less aggressive? Or the fact that I'm a Christian, does this make me immune because I'm going to heaven? Does this make me immune to domestic violence?
No, there's no exemption from domestic violence. Domestic violence affects all faiths, all religions. It affects all communities. It affects, from the low class to middle class to upper class, regardless of, your faith and your relationship with God. You are not immune to anger. Bible even talks about it's okay to get angry, but just don't turn it into sin. So Bible knows that we're going to get angry. Jesus Christ even got angry. He got angry, in the when he went into the temple and saw the way people were behaving and how they turned the temple. Our faith does not exempt us from abuse. It doesn't exempt us from being violent. Our faith is supposed to help us to be better human beings and contributors to society, but it doesn't exempt us. It doesn't give us a free pass that says, because you're a Christian, you have this mark on your forehead that says you will never be an abuser. You can never be abused.
So
those are choices.
Individual choices. I hear what you say about anger, deep-seated anger that leads to resentment, bitterness, and then you lash out on your spouse and your children. I hear that. But why isn't it something we talk about? Or why is it many times, even when you go to church, the best pastors just don't spend time dealing with husbands who beat their wives or wives who beat their husbands, or boyfriends will beat up their girlfriends, and girlfriends will beat up
Yeah,
their boyfriends.
domestic violence is an intimate, the word domestic means intimate. It's, violence is an intimate pandemic, whether you're married or you're in a common law relationship or boyfriend and girlfriend. Why don't churches address this? Why don't churches, deal with this? I can't speak for all churches, but one thing I can say is there are a number of churches that I've watched online over the years that do address the topic of domestic violence. I've heard many pastors speak against it when they're doing marriage conferences. It may not be a topic that is addressed on a daily basis, but it depends on, for me personally, I think it depends upon the grace that, the pastor also has. If a pastor is more of a motivational preacher, or someone that is more, I don't know, I don't want to use the word down to earth more, that deals with more social issues, he may, I want to believe that he will address such things. But if a pastor is more theological and only preaches holiness and may go into heaven, social issues like domestic violence may not be on the topic of their preaching and their teaching materials. So like I said, it depends upon the leadership of the church and what their grace are to teach and share with their congregation. But it is something that does get addressed in the church. It may not be as much as we want it to be.
Thank you. So, should we be looking to train pastors, imams then on social issues so their messages are a bit more relevant to the congregation and to our communities? Because I go to a church, for example, and I cannot tell you the last time I heard social issues being mentioned. So it's almost as though the church is on a line, a strand, and the community or society. And when you try to say, okay, oh, my husband is beating me up, for example, they take the Bible and say, you cannot divorce your husband, and they want to hit you upside the head with the Bible with some really patriarchal quotes like that. How do you respond to that?
I think the church, should play a role when it comes to social issues. The Bible does talk about that the religion that God is looking for is to take care of the orphans, to take care of the widows. So as a church, I do believe that we have a social responsibility to our congregation. We are there to take care, shepherds are there to take care of the spirit, soul, and body of their congregations. And I'm hoping that when pastors go through seminary and theological schools and Bible colleges, that they are taught that we're not just focusing on the spiritual side of people's lives, the whole body, spirit, soul, and body, we are three in one. And so it is, I believe that, churches, every religious community should focus on, the spirit, soul, and body of their congregation, addressing all aspects of their congregants, not just their spiritual lives. Because if you address their spiritual lives and don't address their natural, their natural lives, that you don't address their hunger, you don't address their mental health, there is an imbalance there in terms of what you are providing and the care that you are giving to your congregation. And we should not be leaving those emotional care, the physical and the soul and the physical, to social services. The church should be playing a role. Jesus Christ did. He fed people. He healed people. He also witnessed to them about the love of God. So he met all three, aspects of their lives: spirit, soul, and body.
So what do you say to people who say, but some pastors are not paid, they work for free, why should they care? Like you can't go to church and expect that the church will be your daddy, your mommy, your kitchen, your pantry, your storehouse.
It shouldn't be. The church shouldn't be.
So the church can't be everything to
the
everybody.
church cannot be everything, but the church is a starting place for the needs of the people. Even Jesus Christ couldn't meet all the needs of the people, but that's why Bible says that he trained the disciples and he sent them out, because he couldn't be everything and be everywhere at the same time. I believe the role of the church is to, present opportunities, present resources, be relevant to the soul and the body of their members, not just their spirit. And I believe that there is a need for collaboration with agencies and government in order to meet all of the needs of members of the congregation.
Would you say Roots House would look to gather all these theological churches and train them to be a bit more relevant to needs in 2022 than to add core Old Testament or New Testament Jewish traditions that has been taught in some churches?
I think our vision really is to do that. Is to equip the churches on domestic violence, not all social issues. We cannot do that. Our niche, our focus is on domestic violence, and I think for Roots House, we want to come alongside the faith communities as well as community leaders. Whether you're in the Nigerian community, the Ghanaian community, we want to come alongside all communities within the African nation and all faith leaders and equip them and let them know that there are resources in-house to protect and support the family. I believe that if the faith community are aware of what is available in-house, they will be able to provide even a better service to their congregants, as well as not just the faith leaders, but community leaders. We have the Nigerian Association, the Ghanaian Association, the Cameroon Associations. All of us have to, we all have to work together collaboratively to meet the needs of our community members.
Thank you, Pastor D. I'm just reading here that women and girls account for 2/3 or 67% of all victims of family violence in 2019. Do you find within faith communities that one of the factors that prevents women and girls from talking out is shame? How prevalent is that problem?
Of course, shame is a big thing. Shame is a big thing that the focusing on the African community that we deal with on a daily basis, and also the taboo, the stigma surrounding abuse. When we think about, oh my God, how did I get here? I'm educated and yet I am being abused. We're told you can't talk about that. Nobody wants to listen to you. We're both like, oh, suck it up. We've been through it. At least he's providing for you. At least, he's doing this, he's doing that. We have, shame has become a uniform, not even a uniform, an undergarment that we wear every day that prevents us from getting the help that we need. And once we begin to deal with shame and the taboo and the stigma around domestic violence, I believe that we will begin to heal and we will begin to, live a life that is worthy of the blood of Jesus. I believe that right now, many, don't forget that domestic abuse has been there for generations. This is not something new. Our grandfathers, our great grandparents, this has become, it has been normalized in our community. Yeah, we all grew up with it, not just the Africans, where the husband, the man is the head of the house, the king, the Lord, everything. And the woman is, just supposed to submit, subordinate, and just do as she's told. Oh, I married you, did I? I paid your bride price, so you are my property. All of this thing has been there for generations. I think what God wants to do now is to say, just like he did with the Israelites in Egypt, the cries of my people has come up to me. Enough is enough. Ruth's house wants to be a part of that solution.
Okay, let's talk about the solutions then. So a part of it is to destigmatize shame.
Mm-hmm.
What else it seems like a tall order, how do you do all this the good stuff
It's
on your website, education, prevention, intervention, advocacy. That's a lot of work to do.
it is a lot of work. This is not going to, it's not going to be done overnight. It's taking generations to get here. So I'm not expecting an overnight success. There's no such thing. I'm not expecting, for us to abolish domestic violence in a day, a week, a month, or a year. What I am expecting and what I am believing for is that the work to eliminate and to eradicate domestic violence will begin in our generation, and will we eventually get there before it impacts our children's generation. And so in order for us to do all of this work, the key is the word village. We all understand the concept of it takes a village to raise a child. It's going to take the same village to work together cohesively with one mind, one spirit. The Bible says if they are of one mind, there will be nothing that they will not be able to achieve. We have to work together, regardless of our faith, our beliefs, our cultural differences, together to say that we want to put an end to domestic violence and remove that label. Let's remove that stigma, put away the shame. Let's remove the garment of shame. Let's remove that taboo, and let's begin to address it that yes, it's been around for generations, but it can also end in this generation.
Amen. I'll say that. Now, how do you support men? Because I know, maybe anecdotally, most African men are patriarchal. You're a woman. How do you reach to the average African man that maybe struggles to listen to his own wife, let alone roots out? So what kind of support program do you have going on for African men?
We have a program coming up on April 30th, next Saturday. It's called the Brotherhood. And I want to encourage every man to get involved in that. The Brotherhood is the brothers supporting the brothers who have experienced domestic violence, who are dealing with domestic violence. The best way to support the men is by our brothers coming together. Yeah, it's by men working together, helping each other. And at the same time, it's also to recognize, and I'm a woman and I understand what the Bible says, to recognize that there is hierarchy. There's an hierarchy when it comes to the things of God. A man was there, God created man, and he created woman to support the man. So I do understand the respect. I understand the honor. And I'll tell you that when we started Roots House, we presented this to our elders. And I remember that day, I knelt down before our elders in the city. And I said, this is what God is calling us to do. We need the elders this is what we want to do. We want to submit it to our elders to get their blessing.
What these elders?
But I'm a woman of I believe in honor and respect. So I'm talking about our community leaders, presidents of associations.
Okay, they all came together.
When we launched Ruth House on February 26th, we brought all of them together. Over 100 key leaders.
And you knelt down in front of all of them?
Yes, why not?
Oh, wow.
And I presented, I said, we want to help our community, but we need the blessing and the support of our elders and our leaders.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to do that because I understand that as our community, respect and honor is a big thing for us.
Oh, wow.
And as a woman of faith, I also understand that role. And
how did they receive you? Didn't they say, get up, get up, get up? No.
It was, for me, it wasn't something to be ashamed of. It's recognizing
that. No, not to be ashamed of. It's just different. It's different to understand kneeling down privately, but kneeling down publicly, that's a different.
It's the culture that we come from. It's a culture of respect.
Anyway, you left the culture decades ago. What have you got?
It doesn't matter. I'm still a part of my community. I didn't grow up in Nigeria. I didn't, I don't speak Yoruba that good. but I still understand honor.
You never forgot it.
I am surrounded today by leaders and elders in my community, in the
Right.
Nigerian Association, the Ghanaian Association. I
Oh,
I
wow.
look to them for direction. I look to them for support.
Oh, wow.
I look to them for leadership in order for us, because I truly believe in that word village.
Mm.
And one of the things that we did was coming together means all of our elders creating a campaign video. And in the video, each person speaking out against domestic violence and asking our members to get involved with Roots House.
Mm.
And that videos are what we use on our social media. Because if one person like yourself, T, sees your president of Nigerian Association saying, as a president of the Nigerian Association, I'm speaking out against domestic violence. I want you to get involved in Roots House if you need help. That, where we come from, gives us the liberty and the freedom to ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Don't
I
forget,
mean,
we're traditional people, regardless
yeah,
of where we live.
but the Igbos don't kneel down. Did they accept? Did they see what you were doing? For example, even in Ghana, they don't kneel down. But that's
It's an
something.
African, paying respect to the elders is a, it's,
Pastor D, I've not heard anything like this in a long time. As in, I don't know how even to respond. It's shocking, but it's refreshing. It's humility. It's if you want to get something done and you're passionate, I'll kneel down too.
but it is, you must start in order to deal with
I hear what
something,
you're saying.
in order to deal with something that has been embedded into our society and into our culture. My darling, you must go to the elders of the house and get
Right.
their buy-in.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of
because
course.
you cannot be a runaway, a loose cannon trying to, do something within the community and not have the parents, the leaders, supporting you and helping you.
It's true.
Yeah. For me, things like that speaks volume about what we're trying to do and why it is important. And we're trying to eradicate years of indoctrination. Everybody needs to be on board.
I mean, from this chat, I try to learn something to better my own life, and I've heard something really radical today. I understand the principle of honor. You give honor, you get it back. You sow and you reap. But this one is on a whole different level. I need to stay with me for a long time, I'm sure. It takes me to my final question because I know your time is precious. So you knelt down. You must have been received powerfully in Calgary because I was on your call last week on the Nigerian woman who was unfortunately killed by her husband. And all of Calgary was there, all of Edmonton, they were on that call. It was because now I see the secret, and I'm not trying to mess around here. You knelt down and you've been a part of the community for decades. You know these people, you know your community. I think that is it. So could you tell us how your message has been received, how it's how people are reacting to Roots House?
Initially, we were getting backlash. Oh, who does she think she is? She's trying to, brainwash our women. She's trying to do, but I realized that in order to, you have to understand all of the when negative comments come from a place of ignorance and fear. Yeah, and the people will say things because they don't know any difference or they're afraid. So we've been able to overcome that, and we're still dealing with that on a daily basis. But overall, the response that Ruth's House has received has been beyond words. From our community leaders and the various community associations, they're like, we're behind you, we support you, we're here for you, we want to make this work, this is timely, this is right, we believe in this. The response from government and agencies has been overwhelming as well, because we are building a bridge between our community and external agencies and authorities and governments. And, Roots House is that middle, that bridge, advocating on behalf of our community to external parties, and at the same time advocating on behalf of external parties to our community, so that together we can all one day say that domestic violence is something of the past. We don't have a hidden agenda. Our work really is to ensure that the African family in Calgary not only succeeds, but they thrive, and that they are a contributor to society, not a drain.
What about the African families in Edmonton?
I'm not privy to Edmonton yet, right? I live in Calgary, so I'm still working within the Calgary to develop this. This is a grassroots, groundbreaking organization.
Are you the only Black African organization that does this sort of work in Calgary? Because I know Siwa is, immigrant, but they are not quite like you.
No, a lot of our referrals come from all the external agencies to us, because we are a specialized agency, specializing in the African community. So all agencies like Siwa that you mentioned and all other agencies, they refer their clients to us because, there's this African woman, she's from this country, she really needs that community support to be able to move forward and get back on her feet. Roots House is the best place to go to for that.
Pastor D, you have been amazing. Your vision is to break the cycle of abuse in the African community, starting in Calgary to Edmonton to all over Canada or around the world. I want to say thank you, honestly, so much for your time. Where can people find you?
Yes, please. If you are in an abusive relationship, there is help for you. Please do not wait until something worse happens. Don't wait until your children are taken away. Don't wait until you end up in a hospital or in a casket. We are here to support you. There's no shame, there's no judgment, there's no condemnation. Please call our number, go on our website, find us on social media, find any which way to reach D Adekugbe or Roots House. We are all over social media. And just call or email, and we're here to help. And also to the churches and community leaders, we want to support you as you support your community members. So let's work together and let's make sure that the people under you are strong and supported in their time of need.
Pastor D, thank you. I'm going to end the recording, but just please stay on.
No one make anybody contact. Wait, make a call back. Are you blind?
Please, I'm so sorry. Please, I'm very sorry. Please, I'm still new to driving. I didn't mean to do this. Please, I'm very sorry. Please, I'm very
Times I don't wanna be with you. Having fun time with these girls, but I just wanna be with you.
I know because it might even be like 4 million to fix that, but I don't know.
No, it's fine. I'll fix it. It's not really a problem. It's okay. Can I get your number? Babe. you spoil something?
No, babe, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Is this your brother?
No, my fiance.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Can I still get your number?
No, I'm sorry, I don't give my number to strangers. Thank you so much. You're so nice. If kindness was a person, that would be you.
Okay, mechanic, I will come fix bumper for me.
Now 2.6 million.
No worry, I'll get fresh one.
Hello, welcome back to Big Conversations with T and our team. My name is T Ademo, and I'm the creator of Big Conversations. And I want to say a big thank you to Pastor Deade Kugwe, who was just talking about domestic violence in African communities. I think what struck me from that conversation was the role of honor. The bishop said when she knelt down before elders of the community to engage their support. And I see how passionate she was right there. I understand you kneel down to your parents, you kneel down maybe to your husband, maybe. To elders in the general community is a lesson I am still unpacking. So I thank you very much, Pastor Dia Dekube, for deconstructing what social domestic violence looks like in our communities. It's time for events. And to help us deconstruct that, we have the most beautiful Tabitha BL to tell us events across Edmonton you must get yourself to. Hello, Tabitha.
Hello.
Okay.
Can you guys see me?
Yes, and you had to come, so beautiful tonight. You are very.
Thank you. I dress up for the show.
And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And you're here.
Yeah,
You're all here.
I know. What an amazing presentation from our pastor, from very pastor. Amazing.
Have you been
All of this
enjoying it
needs.
so far?
Yeah, I was just listening behind, like, right? I was hearing all of it. So I was amazed by everything that she said. Amazing, amazing. We need to kind of light up our areas and we need to talk about these issues. But we need to get to the other part. And these are events that are happening here in our city. So if you can
Which
zoom it
event?
in.
Okay, you want to zoom in. You tell me the events you want to, you want people
Right.
to attend. With the way you are looking, Tabitha, I'm going to go anywhere you ask me to go right now because your
So
face
if
is popping. I'm going to go anywhere you want me to go right now because your face is popping.
Oh, okay.
Anywhere you want me to go, I'm there.
Oh, okay, I see. If you can take us to some of the events that are happening, begin with our tax-free clinic. There's
Okay. You want to
yeah.
start there? All right.
Mhm.
So why don't you start talking about it? I'll get the tax-free clinic detail up right now. Oh.
Okay. I think that the screen is little, so I can only see half of the list.
Okay, I'm gonna project it. Okay, so where is this tax-free clinic happening?
So basically, as you guys know, our very community is offering a tax-free clinic. Here, I was one of the few people who've done their own taxes through this event. So amazing, amazing. It's being offered for all of us, for all our community. for free of charge. So I don't know. Did you get to that? So then people can take a view of how it looks like.
Your technology guy is me, and it's I have it here, but it's okay, not that one. Okay, do you know what? Let me just share what I'm. Let
What
me
you
show
have.
you what I'm. Yeah. So,
If you have them in sequence, then that's okay. I can talk about whichever
oh,
comes
they are
first.
not in the sequence you want. Sorry. I gotta stop sharing. I gotta share. Sorry about this.
That's okay.
Okay, so this is the first one I have. I don't know if you wanted to back up and
Yeah, I
start
can
right
talk.
here. Okay.
Okay, so this is one of the events, one of the programs, sorry, one of the program that is being offered by our very African Center. So is a scholarship that is meant to kind of help our families, educational wise, family that just want to kind of get to their feet and go on in life and achieve great things. So this is being offered by African Center, like I said, and again, we have to pay attention to the timing of that because the applications are being closed on May the 1st. So if you know someone who can actually benefit from this, please take a shot of this, pay attention, take note, and pass it along to them so then they can also benefit from this. Do you have the other slide? Can you go to the other slide, T? Okay, so this one is another great event happening here, and this will be next Friday. Um, there we go. So this will be on April the 29th, next Friday, and all of us are welcome to join this programs. This is being offered by our very Black Canadian women in action. I love what they do. So please, the information that are needed for this to register and all of that is just on our screen. If you can scan that for registration, that would be great. It kind of there is a fee to that, and that is $35 a person, so that it will be happening from 6 p.m. all the way to 10. So there's a plenty of time for all of us to reach in and have a great conversation. So it's called Networking Mixer, and that is being offered for our very own Black professionals and business women. And go to the next slide. Can you put up the next slide? If you have the next slide, T, please put it up so then our viewers have a better view of what is happening. There we go. There we go. So this one is another great program that is being offered again by our very own African Center. And as you can see, it's all about wellness. All about wellness, especially for our youth in our community. So African Center is offering this mental health programs, and it's also for our youth ages 15 to 24. What it also does is if we have youth that are dealing with specific issues in our community, they also have the ability to kind of pair those youth with specific mentors to kind of just deal with the situation that they have that are very specific. So I think this is one of the great things that they offer at the center. And so please do share it with other people. So then again, our youth have the opportunity to be helped again and also get ready for the world. So the other one is Brotherhood program. We heard our pastor talking about this when she was asked about the contribution there has to be made by our men when it comes to domestic violence, and as we know, we can all talk about the prevalence of violence in our houses, in our community, and the effect of that. But I think it will be ineffective if our men are not involved. And so this is going to be a great event for our brothers to kind of get together and talk about what this really means. It seemed like there is so much of that violence going, but I think a lot of African men are going against it. And so for those who are struggling about how to kind of tune that violence in our houses or our community, they be able to, have a great conversations with other brothers. So this is a great event.
Okay, I think that's the end for now. My apologies for how slow that was. It was lastminute.com. We decided to show the slides. I just assumed we'll be reading them, so I panicked a bit. So my apologies.
That's okay.
For the clumsiness. You're beautiful, Tabitha BL Giselle. Could you?
Yes.
It's World Book Day today. What book would you be sharing with our audience before we let you go?
Well, that's a great question because there are so many great books that I can actually talk about, but I might just talk about my book because
you can give your book a plug, sister. Let's do it.
I don't have it on behind me. I have it somewhere in the house. But
Tell us the title.
My book, and the title is "What a Godly Privilege to Be Born a Man." It's about the life of women when it's all cultured in a specific mentality and the suffering that arise from that. So this is about the Sudanese women because I'm originally from South Sudan, the amazing nation. But these are the things that the book is talking about. It's a novel, by the way, and because this is the last minute kind of things, I wish we had a chance to actually put the link on there, so then people can actually have a look at what it is. But again, what a godly privilege to be born a man. Yeah.
Okay. Is that the title of the book?
That's the title.
Okay. So can we find it on YouTube?
You can find it on Amazon. So if you just Google it, what a godly
YouTube.
Yeah. So that one,
right,
you can find it everywhere.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tabitha. We have to let you go now. We've got Giselle right after this. She's doing civic education with everyone. So please share. Let's get people listening in to big conversations. Don't go away. And thank you, beautiful Tabitha. We hope you join us again.
Hey, guys. Bye. Bye.
Mama. Swag, I got the recipe. Speakers zinapamba ndani, patachimbika na iburudani. Mtafute manzi size yako, muoneshe kwamba uko peke yako. Umetoka Sinza Kigogo, tuko na mashombe wa kari yako. Una mizigo tepe, tepe tepe. Omba usiguse unase, nase nase. Mama kuchutama, chonde chonde mwenza kutaniua. Mwendo kubambana, konde konde kusinika kulia. Go down low, go down low, go down low. Chezo wakere visiba.
Hello and welcome back to Big Conversations with T. We're running slightly late right now, but don't panic. Giselle General is here with us to do civic education. Hello, Giselle. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Thank you so much for joining Big Conversations tonight. What have you got for us?
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me. Very much appreciated. So for our civic education segment for our show.
Sorry, Giselle, could you increase your audio for me, the volume on your device? Just raise it up a bit.
Oh,
and it's all yours.
sorry,
Okay.
Audio check here. Hello, hello. Hi T, does it sound better?
Yes, it does. Yes, we're good. Okay,
Excellent.
It's all yours. What have you got for us tonight? Take it away, Giselle.
Absolutely. So this will be a pretty rapid 12 to 15 minutes. So buckle your seatbelts and I hope that you enjoy. So for our first segment, which I like to call a rapid fire segment, I'd like to share a short summary of what has been going on in the city within the municipal government that I recommend that you keep an eye on. So my first update, currently the city is collecting feedback from the community about a pedestrian bridge that will be built in downtown. This will be located in McDougall Hill, so that steep road that goes uphill towards Hotel McDonald on 100th Street and near Jasper Avenue. There are three options on the style of the bridge, and the goal is for people who are accessing the river valley and would need to go up through the funicular for them to have a way to cross 100th Street, which is a busy road, without walking all the way to Jasper Avenue. And the goal is for this bridge to also be a tourist destination and a beautiful lookout in downtown Edmonton. My second update for the rapid fire section. A few weeks ago, a program in the city called Energy Improvement Program is launched so that homeowners and people who want to have eco-friendly home improvements can apply for low-cost financing. Residents can request different ranges of funding between $3,000 to $50,000 for projects such as solar panels, insulation, energy-saving lighting, and these are projects that need to be completed by the homeowner within 6 months. My next rapid-fire update, 2 city councilors launched an interesting pilot project called participatory budgeting. This is done by 2 councilors, Councilor Nak of Ward Nakoda Iska on the west end, and Councilor Tang of Ward Gareo on the east side of the city. They are setting aside $25,000 of their office budgets for residents to apply for small-scale projects that will benefit their community. The cool thing about this participatory budgeting idea they have is that it is based on the voice of the people. People who live in the area will vote to decide which small scale neighborhood projects will receive these funds from the city councilor offices. The first meeting took place last week, and they will continue to have meetings and sessions until we come to a point that the projects have been voted on by the members of the people in their wards. Next, Edmonton City Council is dedicating about $880,000 to women's shelters in Edmonton. The funding comes after our Edmonton City Council decided to not increase the police budget by $11 million. This funding is unprecedented because domestic violence shelters in Edmonton usually do not get funds from the city government. Majority of their funding is from the provincial government and private donations. So these funding will go towards domestic violence supports such as cultural support, mental health, and specialized programming to help those who are fleeing domestic violence and have precarious immigration status. And then, City Council had confirmed a 1.9% tax increase for 2022 as part of the spring updates to the city's operating budget. The City Council has decided on this budget increase during their meeting that took place in December 2021. For people who would need to pay property taxes, the notice will be mailed on May 24th and the payment deadline will be on June 30th. But one thing that is important to note is that people who might struggle with paying their tax bill all at once, there is a program called Monthly Payment Plan that allows people to pay in installments. So that is for the rapid fire section of our civic education segment. So next, I want to talk about how to share your insights, because it's a good idea for everyday residents to give feedback and opinions to our elected representatives at City Council so that they can consider your viewpoint when they make decisions about the city. There are several ways to share your insight and make your voice heard. And for our episode for today, I'd like to talk about how to get the contact information for our elected representatives in our municipal government. So that is our city councilors and our mayor. The easy thing to remember, which is very useful, is that all the information and process is on the City of Edmonton website. So when you go online to edmonton.ca, click on a button called City Government, and then you can click the other button called Councilors and Mayor. And in this webpage, the first thing you'll see is a tool called Find Your Councilor and Ward. The names of our city wards, which is our municipal little mini districts, they have changed in 2021. So for me, for example, I live in a neighborhood that used to be part of the former Ward 1 here on the West End. But when the boundaries were changed, my neighborhood got absorbed into the neighborhood of Ward 5 in the West End. And then all the numbers have been changed into Indigenous names. So my electoral district in the municipal government, I now am a part of Ward CP1 Nowak. So if you need a refresher to know which ward you belong to and who is your city councilor, in this section, Find Councilor and Ward, you can just type in your address and then the name and the name of your ward, and your city councilor will pop up so you would know. And in the same webpage, you will see a section called Office of the Councilors and Office of the Mayor. And if you click on this link, you don't even need to open your email account because there's an online form over there where you can type in all your information and even attach different files and documents. When you want to contact your city councilor, it will first ask you which ward you are a part of and which councilor you wanted to contact. And using that other tool I mentioned earlier, you would be able to figure that out. One thing I have learned with my civic engagement with the city, if you send a message, the response times will vary because the city councilor offices all operate independently with their own staff and their own processes. I personally have experienced certain councilors, they might take several weeks to respond, or sometimes some councilor offices would take a few days to respond. There are times when the actual politician, the city councilor, would be the one responding to your email. And when you need to schedule a meeting or something like that, that is the time when they connect you to their assistant to organize the schedule. But sometimes in a city councilor office, you might not even get the chance to talk to your counselor at all because it would be their administrative assistant who will help you and make arrangements. On future episodes, I plan to share other ways on how to share your insight using other engagement processes that the city has, so that you can speak your mind on different topics you care about. Now, for our next mini segment, I'd like to talk about the City of Edmonton's ABCs. So, if you're wondering what these ABCs are, they stand for agencies, boards, and commissions. Agencies, boards, and commissions consist of a group of people, most of them regular people, Edmontonians like you and me, who apply to help out, and they're appointed to make decisions or give advice to the city on certain topics. So, as an example for myself, I have applied and I'm a part of the Edmonton Transit Service Advisory Board because I care about improving our bus and LRT schedules and processes, which is a responsibility of the municipal government. So for our episode for today, I'd like to share about the first ABC on this list, which is the Accessibility Advisory Committee. So their goal is to help the city make sure that their policies, programs, services, and infrastructure that they're responsible for is inclusive and usable for disabled people. And these are different types of physical or other types of disabilities, such as visual impairments, hearing, mobility, and many more. So, for example, perhaps the city is trying to build or renovate a building that's under their portfolio. This committee might point out that they need to improve wheelchair access to the different portions of the building or the entrances. Or perhaps they might advocate for big picture policy change. Let's say something about ensuring that the city government tries hard to make sure that there's a lot more houses and apartments that are accessibility friendly for people who are using wheelchairs and walkers and scooters, and that are also affordable because many people who are disabled tend to have lower incomes. This committee holds meetings once a month and have about 15 members. And in between their meetings, they do additional work in between, like discussions, research, or raising awareness on different angles about city policy and issues. One really notable example in 2020, when the pandemic just started and all of us have to isolate, and all of the meetings and announcements by the city and by all forms of government are all through video. Someone advocated, who is a member of this committee, to ensure that there is sign language interpreters and professional live captioning so that people with hearing problems and language barriers can understand what is being announced. And for the Accessibility Advisory Committee, applications are open in the beginning of the year, and people from all walks of life can apply. You just need to talk about your skill set, your background, and why you are interested in being part of this committee. It is similar to a job application where you have to submit your resume, some reference letters, and apply online. So mark your calendars. If accessibility for the community is something you're passionate about, you could potentially apply for this committee early next year, about January 2023. And for the last portion of our segment over here, I'd like to share about our final topic that I like to call 311 at your fingertips. So 311 is very much similar to the other 3-digit services that we have, like 211, 911, and 811, but 311 is about municipal government stuff. So you can file complaints and concerns that you see around in your city that you want the city to respond on. So it could be something like potholes or broken streetlights or snow and ice or sidewalk damage and many more. So you can call 311. It's as simple as that. You just dial 311 and you'll be directed to a call center, which is in the city. After you press some numbers, and so that you are directed to the right person who can help you. The call center is open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Sunday, but closed on holidays. But some people do not like to be put on hold over the phone. So there is an app as well, which is very useful and you can use 24/7. If you have an iPhone or Android smartphone, you can download this app. And there's different sections in this app over here called New Request, where you want to file a new complaint, recent requests, recording of your previous requests, your profile, so where you can put your contact information, and the City of Edmonton's Twitter account. In the future, in future episodes, I will talk about all the different types of complaints and concerns that you can file, because there's dozens and dozens of different things that you can report and how to use it effectively so that the city can respond and resolve the issue you are filing a complaint about. And that wraps up our segment on civic education. I'm your host, and I hope that you've learned a few things here, and I look forward to having you on future episodes.
Giselle, that was so well done. So hard. I do not know how to say thank you. That was so beautifully executed and well researched. Thank you so very, very, very much. Thank you. I'm glad you'll do this again with us next time.
Of course, more than happy to come back at future episodes.
Okay, we're gonna let you go. Thank you. Whilst we introduce the next people coming up, financial literacy. I understand they'll be doing taxes right after this.
Because I care. Can we please just take it alone? Take my hand.
Is it the way you walk, or the way you talk? You got my eyes on lock, your body fire burn. So even if you go, I go follow you. Anything you want, come make I know. So even if you go, I go follow you. Anything you want, come make I know. I want the keys to your heart, keys to your heart. Now you I want to, now you I want to. I'm drawn to your touch, drawn to your touch. Now you I want to, now you I want to. Anywhere that you go, I'ma sing you the song, baby. Anywhere that you go, I'ma sing you the song,
Hello, welcome back to Conversations. So we have here tonight. We got the Executive Director of El Social Media Foundation, a very own person, Tayo Nathan, who is doing taxes with our business partner, Dotun. I understand I didn't spell your name right. We need to send Tayo an invoice for the misspelled name. And I got the name right, is Dotun Ayodele Bamishaye. And the two of you are going to be doing some interesting talk on taxes on a Saturday night. So without much ado, guys, take it away.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, T, for having us. I'm kind of wheezing here, but looking forward to making this quick and interesting. The goal basically is just to let us all know that there are two things in life that are certain: death and taxes. And taxes is one that if we can't get away from it, we can do something about it. So we're just going to talk a bit about putting things in place to ensure that you're contributing your fair share to helping society. Tayo, do you want to just talk a bit about that as we discussed?
Yes, thank you for having me, T. And yes, life, two things are certain: death and taxes. Other things are certain too, but I think we all get the idea. Um, but yes, want to talk about taxes. So the reason why taxes is important right now is this is April 23rd. In Canada, we have 7 more days. May 2nd, I believe, is the last day you can file your personal income taxes if you don't want to be late. And so, what we just wrapped up we're wrapping up a tax clinic, low income tax clinic, and there are lots of lessons that I've learned from being a part of that amazing initiative. And we wanted to just share some of that with you. That you know what, taxes. One key point I would like to share is you can plan for your taxes. It's important that you plan for your taxes. Don't let taxes happen to you every year. Come April, you start getting nervous. Do I owe money? Am I going to pay back? How much am I going to get back? Don't be caught unawares. It's possible for you to plan for your taxes. And what I have seen this year is that it's totally important that you spend some time early on in the year putting a strategy in place for your taxes. That's what do you think?
Yeah, that's definitely accurate. Because when you look at it from our experience at the low income tax clinic, I served as a technical partner making that clinic happen, providing the advice on how to approach the preparation and quality controlling the tax returns filed. It's clear that you can't access government benefits when you do not file your taxes up to date. So we had instances of people coming into the tax clinic who are filing 2 years back, 3 years back. In one particular case, 10 years of backdated taxes. But having those returns filed suddenly meant that those people are going to be able to access benefits like provincial income support. They're going to be able to access additional provincial health care. They're going to be able to access child care benefits, access GST credits. So suddenly there's a whole new vista of income available to them simply because they have filed their taxes. So, and that what has happened to them happened more because taxes happened to them. There was no plan. There was no thought to, I need to file my taxes so that I can get the income that should come my way by way of social assistance. So that's something that became crystal clear to me. When you are low income, the government will support you. If you don't file your taxes, you miss out on that support. Now, for people on the other side of the tracks, Tayo, can you speak to that a bit as far as planning and preparation for taxes is concerned?
Yes, I was also going to add something to the low income people who file low income taxes or are low income. A lot of times, we find that people do multiple jobs through the year. So you have like 4 or 5 T4s, and because the job in itself was maybe minimum wage from the first job, the employer doesn't take out enough taxes, right? And then you go to another job and the employer doesn't take out any taxes from there because the amount you're making is less than 10,000. When you bring that to us to file your taxes at the year end, aggregate all that together, you're going to owe money. And then you're wondering, but I just made 30,000. Why am I paying taxes? So this is what people don't know. The refund you're getting from your return is from the taxes you've paid. The refund is not free money. If you've overpaid taxes, you get a refund back. If you've underpaid taxes, you pay the taxes to the government. Everybody's going to pay taxes, high income, low income. What affects the amount that you pay is how much planning you do. So I say this because I've seen people who made 25,000, 30,000, 39,000 who are clearly low income, but because their employers hadn't deducted enough taxes, box 22 on your T4 slip was empty, and all the jobs you did, you're going to owe taxes to the government. And people did owe 3,000, 2,000, and that was really painful to watch their reaction. And also you could tell that they didn't have the money. You know, you're already low income already, and you have to now pay a lump sum money to the government. That was quite painful. So once again, to low income earners, if you are working multiple jobs, stop by the HR office, stop by the office manager's office, ask them, please take out enough taxes or have a really strong savings account so that you can pay up later. Coming to our modest income earners, people like me, planning is very, very important, because there's no sudden money coming from anywhere to pay taxes. So that's where you start to plan. And I find that the two major tools that are easily available to plan taxes with is RRSP route, or you go the charitable donations route, right? So those are two important things that you can keep in mind. This is free advice. Nobody really tells you this, but having an RRSP is your money, is savings that is taxed free. So you're not paying taxes on it. It's coming right off the top before taxes, and you get to put that away. And there are several advantages to having an RRSP account. By the way, RRSP means Registered Retirement Savings, or so is it Retirement Registered Savings Plan, RRSP. And it's a tool that the government has designed for you to save money for your future. So if you go to your bank or you buy one of those financial products, there's not one of them that is any better than the other. Just make sure you speak to a good advice and let them tell you the pros and the cons. But if you buy an RRSP and you put, even if you put $50 off every paycheck, $100 a month, $200 a month, at the end of the year, that $2,000 will save you a lot of taxes. It will increase your refund. I guarantee that. Well, within reason. But all things being equal, there's no guarantees in taxes. But the point I'm making is, and the RRSP money, the savings is for you. If you are going to buy a house 3-4 years out, you save $2,000 every year or $3,000 every year, you're able to take up to $25,000 out of that RRSP for your down payment. So you can't lose with an RRSP. So that's one way to plan for your taxes. And we are still in the month of April. It is still time. There's still enough time for you to put money away and save. It doesn't even matter, $25, $10, as much as you can. It will really help you next year. Dotun, you want to talk about charitable donations and how that can help people plan for their taxes?
Oh, definitely. As far as charitable donations are concerned, the government of Canada understands that charitable organizations are a strong contributor to the social fabric of the country of Canada. So in terms of being able to take care of the weak in society, the downtrodden, not-for-profit organizations, whether they are faith-based or not, are a strong component of being able to provide that social net over and above what the government provides in terms of income support or employment insurance when people happen to be employed and lose their jobs suddenly. Now, when you support these organizations, the government gives you a pat on the back and allows you to deduct up to 75% of your income as charitable donations. And when that deduction is made, it means that your taxable income reduces by that charitable donation amount. Now, this is definitely a cash outflow for you personally. However, what you are basically doing is you are contributing to the social fabric directly while saving yourself some of that fat check that has been taken off your paycheck every whether it's bi-weekly or semi-monthly or monthly, as the case may be. You get to keep a bit more of that money simply because you've made this charitable donation. So you may look at it and say, okay, that money is actually leaving my hand, so it's not as beneficial as the RRSP, which is still your money, just locked away for future use. The only difference is it may be either you or your neighbor benefiting from that. We hope not, but you may be able to stand in benefit for whatever that organization is doing in society. And even if you don't, at least you're saving some of your taxes, right?
Well, yes, thank you. And I was going to add to that is a lot of modest income people, low income earners are also very faith based, meaning that they either go to a church weekly or a mosque. And when you go to a church or a mosque, you give either a tithe or an offering, depending, or maybe you don't give at all. Usually, churches in Canada are required to be, I believe, charitable organizations. So they are allowed to collect a donation from you and issue you a tax receipt at the end of the year. So that tax receipt is very important. So every time you pick up an envelope to donate money to a church and to a mosque or whatever or temple, wherever you subscribe to, make sure you put your name. So at the end of the year, the churches or the organizations are required to be able to issue a receipt. What I hear a lot is, oh, I've given that to my church, I've given that to my mosque, I've given it to God, and I don't want to take the money back from God. So I say to you this, the money has gone to God. I don't, you know what, this is very controversial, but the point of the matter is that you're not taking it back from God. The fact that you gave that money to God does not mean you're taking it back when you file your taxes with it. Everybody knows God doesn't actually deal with cash. Yeah, the churches use the cash to do God's work. So I'm so sorry. So take your receipts and file your taxes. And get your tax refund and pay your tithes on that. And you're not taking your money, because I get a lot of, oh, I've given it to God. No, you gave it to church. Who's going to use it for God? Let's be clear on that one. But that I find that I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just trying to say that some of the things that we do to ourselves, the law requires that charitable organizations give you a charitable receipt when you're done. And I use church and mosque because if you're going to pay it anyways, might as well use it, right? That's the point I'm making. So taxes. You can plan for your taxes. I suggest you plan. There is no major miracle out there except you plan. Every year, April 30th, you will file your taxes. This is how this great country rolls, and this is how we get all the benefits we do. So if it's going to happen and you're aware it's going to happen, why not plan for it? So this is the time to make a choice for your future.
So let me jump in with this, Tayo. When is the best time to start planning for your 2022 tax returns?
I say now.
Right now.
I say now. There's still enough time in the year to either open an RRSP account or do a charitable donation. If you've been working January to April and your company hasn't taken off enough taxes, or you're in between jobs, or you EI, a lot of times I find that people, when they fill out that EI application, and I don't remember how that application works right now, people don't click that they need to take out taxes. So people come and they've been on EI all year, and then the government hasn't taken out taxes, and it's like, oh, I have to pay taxes on EI. Yes, 10%. So if you've made 20,000 in EI, you pay 2,000, and if you didn't pay it from the source, you paid when you file your taxes. Mm-hmm. So every time, so you have to be aware. You have to be aware that everything is taxed. This is my favorite saying of the season: government money is not free. Government money is not free. They will give it to you to help you. And I gotta love the country of Canada. COVID happened, everybody got a reprieve. And you know what? That's beautiful. But government money is not free. So plan for your taxes. If you need help, seek help. Google it, find an accountant, find a professional, do what you gotta do. And I think that's it. That's our time.
Do you know what? When I invited both of you to come on a Saturday night to talk about money, I did not think anything about my finances would crack me up. But that bit about not wanting to be controversial, and if you pay your tithes or whatever to the mosque, we both know that God doesn't touch that money. That was just, that was just hysterical. That just got me there. So thank you for bringing numbers to life and for helping us make some sense of the tax season, of tax planning, our what did you call it? ESP? RRSPCT? No? Okay.
No. No.
You can tell I'm tired.
No.
So, RRSP.
RRSP. Keep it in the
RRS. That's why CPS should stay in that world, and media people like me should stay. We're going to let you go. Thank you ever so much for your time tonight. When we come back, we have Coach Rosemary Trish Mupamwa talk about dealing with loneliness after a loss. Don't go away. More right after this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Closer. It's your boy Neo with Yasmin, baby.
One in a million. You're my one in a million. One in a million, baby, come closer. One in a million. You're my one in a million. One in a million, baby, come closer. You make me wanna lose control. You make me wanna lose control. You make me.
Hello, rukundo runkora ku mutima. Umva ntegabere maze mbikubwire ingene buri gihe niyumva iyo nkubonye nkaremba iyo hashize isaha twe tutabonanye. The only reason ngihumeka umwuka w'abazima umbera urumuri ukabonesha mu mwijima. You know you the one I would die for. I swear I never loved like this before. Your smile to me zuba jaka abagushaka bose uti swata cause I'm here, I'm the man. Nashize kwa kagufuri, you my girl. Ni wewe wangu wa mutima.
Hello, welcome to Big Conversations with T. Oh boy, what a night! I am just wondering what you think so far of our programming, of the big conversations we've brought to you. Would you want us to do it again? Would you support us? Would you advertise with us? Would you just basically like, share, and subscribe to our comment? It's a relationship segment right now, and we've got Coach Rosemary Trish Mupamwa. She's a mother of three, a speaker, a relationship dating coach, a life transformation retreat leader. She's a Reiki master and the author of several books, including Exhume or Heal, A Widow's Memoirs, Getting a Groove Back, and Resetting Your Life Handbook, A Triumphant Snapback. And she joins us from our base in Calgary to help us make sense of the loneliness pandemic in our lives. Good evening, Coach Rosemary. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday evening with us.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. I'm really grateful. You've been following some of our content so far this evening. What do you think?
Yeah, I was really paying close attention, especially to the finance, the taxes. You know, that, government money is never free. And the one thing I didn't know was, you know, even when you're on EI, you still have to pay taxes on it.
Oh, yeah.
So the government will give you with the right hand and take it away from you with the left hand.
I'm glad some of our programming makes sense. So, right, a new report suggests that 36% of all Americans, including 61% of young adults and 51% of mothers with young children, feel serious loneliness. So loneliness is the scourge of the century, and in spite of the fact we've got Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, most of us are still lonely. Is there any hope for us lonely people? How did you survive? I'm sorry about the demise of the transition of your husband, Coach, but how did you survive?
It wasn't an easy road to say. It was a rocky, bumpy, and dusty road. When you have lost a loved one, the trajectory of your life totally changes. You lose friends because when you were married, you were in the company of other couples. But when you have lost your loved one, the couples, they kind of, you know, drop out of sight one by one, because there's a saying that the coupled people say. They say that the divorcees and the widows, they are boring people, because when you are divorced or when you have been widowed, you kind of talk in past tense, because you always say, oh, when my husband was still alive, I used to do this with him. But those that are still in the relationship, they will say, me and my husband and our children, we do this, or we are going to do that. So when you are widowed or divorced, you don't have a future as a couple, because the other part of your couple is gone. So the way that people need to pay close attention to when you have lost your beloved one is find out why you are really lonely. Is it really because you have lost the loved one, or it's because of the events that follow after the death of your loved one, or after the death of the relationship, which is the divorce? You have been divorced, or you have been widowed, or you have gone through a heartbreak. Are those the only reasons that are causing you to be lonely? Or is it because people are shunning you, right? Because in our African culture, a lot of people, they think when you are divorced, you are no longer worthy to be respected by the community, because they always think single people are not worth the community respect, which in my books, I think it's not fair, because some people don't choose to be single. Some people, yes, they are single by choice, but it's not everybody who chooses to be single. When you've been divorced or widowed, most of the times it's not even your choice to get divorced. Situations push you to a point where you have to get out of that relationship. When you have been widowed, of course, you didn't kill your husband, unless if you did. But then if you did you know how it was going to affect you afterwards? Probably not. Most of the times, people forget why they went into that relationship in the first place. You went into that relationship because you wanted to build a relationship between two families. But when the other parts of your life is gone, then you find yourself being an alien. Even when you visit your in-laws after you have been divorced or widowed, you feel lonely as well, because people don't treat you the same. you are no longer invited to as many family events as you are supposed to. So I want to warn people that have just been recently widowed or divorced, and they were questioning why their in-laws were shunning them. This is very common, and this is the reason why I wrote my book, Exhume or Heal, a widow's memoir, Getting a Groove Back, because it will come. Your in-laws are going to shame you. They are going to exclude you in a lot of family events because you don't belong anymore, because their relative is no longer there. If you have children, yes, sometimes they can invite you because of the children, but most of the times you are now an alien because you don't fit into their puzzle anymore. You are now a visitor. So when you go there, you have to reassess the relationship that you had with your in-laws and the relationship that you have right now. So I urge all those people that, it's time to either rebuild the relationships or get out of the family units, because sometimes you try to push yourself to belong, because, as human beings, we are very social beings. We like to belong to a community. You like to belong to a family unit, especially like for me, I'm still called Mpabra, but my husband passed away about 22 years ago. So I still carry his name, right? So wherever I go, it's still a reminder to me that I belong to this family. But does the family treat me the same as they used to when my husband was still alive? No.
All right.
Because,
Coach, there's so many things I want to unpack, so I'm just going to ask you to pause a second. So you were married and your husband died 22 years ago.
Yes.
Did you get remarried maybe? Did you get remarried?
Not yet, but I will be very soon.
Oh, it's so sweet. Okay, so congratulations in advance. Because I was just going to say a lot of maybe some Black African women, when their spouses die, they die. They don't look ever to get married again, and maybe their in-laws will tell them off for something, but and then poverty sets in and all this other kind of stuff. So I really salute you for embracing that. But I don't want to focus the comment on just widows alone. I want us to talk about loneliness. Loneliness is a pandemic. Some people, even in relationships, are lonely. Some people, even though they are married, they are lonely. And many people get mental illness because they are not dealing with. I was born alone. I will die alone. I won't die with my boyfriend, would I? And I won't die with my spouse if I had a spouse. So the question is, how do we even deal with loneliness? Because it affects every one of us, in spite of what the in-laws say. How do we deal with this pandemic that is eating us up alive, not wanting to remain alone or not being able to deal with being alone? Your thoughts?
So the first thing is you need to ask yourself, why are you lonely? Right? And do you accept that you are lonely? A lot of people, that loneliness, it is a pandemic because it will develop into serious mental health issues. It's because people deny and lie to themselves that I'm not really lonely. I can stay on my own. No, we are all social beings and we like to belong to something. We like to belong to a group of people. We like to be talking to people. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought in a lot of serious mental health issues due to the loneliness that it created. A lot of family units were divided and destroyed because people were forced to be alone. In so many places, people could not visit each other or be with other people. So the first thing that people need to do is be honest with yourself. Why do you feel so lonely? Is it because you have just gotten out of a relationship, or is it because you are scared of what the people will say around you, right? You are scared that, oh, I cannot go to church because I'm so scared that I'll end up picking up the virus. Because some people, they've been so engrossed in this pandemic to a point where they were so scared to leave their own home, thinking that if they go outside or go into a church, they are going to breathe in. They are going to breathe in the COVID-19 virus. But the thing is, if you are careful with yourself, just be careful what you touch. Just be careful what you do when you go out into the community, and when you come back, wash your hands as often as possible. Don't touch your mouth. Don't touch your noses. All this information is being put on the internet everywhere. But people, they are just so scared to go out. The first thing that you do when you realize that you are lonely, go out. Start to meet people. Say hello to your neighbor, right? Go out for a walk. If you don't have a dog, buy a dog if you can. If you can afford to look after a dog, get a dog or something. Join some groups, some community clubs, cooking clubs, craft clubs. Be with other people. Go to church. Start new hobbies, for example, walking, going to the gym, knitting clubs, crochet clubs. You can even start your own thing with other people in your community, right? You can also even start like the high teas that are now in fashion, in style. You dress up and then you go and have a cup of tea. It's not that you don't have tea in your house. It's just a way of meeting other people. That's another way as well. The other way is start a community event, either with your church or with your community. If you are a senior like me, start a seniors group. Have a barbecue even at your home or at your neighbor's home. Go to your neighbor, help them clean their house. All those little things, they also help you to break out of the loneliness. But the problem with the community nowadays is people are so scared of this pandemic to a point where they can't even leave their own house. Take a drive, go somewhere new and meet people. Don't wait for people to talk to you. Be courageous enough to crack a conversation. Even when you're on the plane, talk to the person that's next to you. Say hello, how are you? I know for me, I struggled with this when I came from Africa, because people here in North America, when you say hello to them, they always give you this look like, hello to me, what do you want from me? But in Africa, you see anybody on the road, you say, hello, how are you? And, it's culture. But here in North America, people are not used to saying hello to strangers. But you can start that, You can start that. Also, attend birthday parties. If you are not invited, then, try and invite yourself. Get crushed. Get crushed on some of these little events. But, find something easy and cheap that you can do. Walk to a park, sit in the park, read a book, and you will see that, once or twice when you go there, people notice people's movements. Then you will see somebody who has seen you going to the park and sitting on the same spot. They will come and sit with you and, start talking. So I think that's most of it, on how you can fight loneliness. If you are really, really depressed, then go see a doctor and they can give you some medication. But most of all, ask for help. Talk to people. How can I fight my loneliness? I don't know where to start. There's so many people that can give you easy and, tips that you can implement right away. Yeah. You are on mute. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just
That's okay.
oh no,
Yeah,
no,
that's
not
okay.
that I was muted. I was just gonna say thank you so much. You've spoken very well, and I don't know we have enough time to do justice, but you've given like hope. If you really don't want to be lonely, then you go get crashing birthday parties. You go to
Yeah,
where
get crash.
you
Yeah.
you go to where you can find people to talk to, people to mingle with, and it's hard. It's hard. What you were saying about being North America is hard. Like you try to chat up a man and then they're showing you their ring. Well, I've been married for 27 years. I hope you
Yes.
know that it's hard. Or you try to talk to someone and they go, "That's my wife in the car." I don't know. So after a while, you crawl back into your shell and you say, "Never again will I do this." So meeting new people when you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, it's not impossible, but in North America, I think it's hard. And there was a time I looked into it. The chances are for Caucasian women to turn around relationships to find more men, because apparently Caucasian men will probably prefer Caucasian women. But for Black women, it was difficult for Black women to find a Black man to settle with. And the odds were about 3-1 or 4-1, something like that. Because many Black women were more organized, we're more professional, we're more settled than Black men. And Black men were just not owning up to their space or whatever. But that's not a conversation for now. I want to say a big thank you for your time tonight. We have to do this again some other time. Where can we
Yes.
find out more about you, Coach?
Okay. You can find me on my Facebook page, Rosemary Trish. That's my Instagram. And then my Facebook page is Rosemary T. Mupambwa. And then my personal page, my business page is Rose Coach. And then my website is www.roseslifecoaching.com. And on that page, there's also a page where you can find more about relationships. Why are you single? So we talk about how to find the one, where you go, what you need to do, and how to know that this is the right guy for you.
How do you know? How do you know?
How
I
do
don't
you
know.
know?
That's another ball game entirely.
That's
Like,
another
how do you
topic,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, because he's going to say, "Oh, I slept and I woke up and I dreamt. I didn't see you in my dream, so you're not the one."
No.
And then they say, "Oh, Jesus did tell me you're my wife." There's some mental thing. Oh, Jesus didn't tell me you're the one.
Yeah,
And
I
then
know.
you have to
Yeah.
wait for Jesus to tell them. And that way you're single till you die. Because Jesus will probably say anything about you. Anyway, Coach Rosemary, I want to say a big thank you so much. We're gonna contact you to do this again, but I appreciate your time.
Sure.
I appreciate your time so much tonight. So back to big conversations. We have our final guest, Andrea Cooks. Final departure with Andrea. Don't go away. Thank you again very much, Coach. See you in a little bit.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Excuse me, bro. What's your name?
Toby.
It's him. Take the shot.
What are you talking about?
Get the shot, quick! He's on the move. Go! What's your name?
My name is Kevin.
Take the shot. It's him.
What are you
Get him.
talking about?
Take the shot, quick! He's on the move.
Oh, I didn't do that well. I've got to. How should I do that? Hold on.
Excuse me, bro. What's your name?
Toby.
It's him. Take the shot.
What are you talking about?
Get the shot, quick! He's on the move. Go! What's your name?
My name is Kevin.
Take the shot. It's him.
What are you
Get him.
talking about?
Take the shot, quick! He's on the move.
Hello, welcome back to Big Conversations. Oh boy, what a night. We've been at this since 7 o'clock, and I'm so delighted that we are at the last segment, final departure with Andrea Cox. She's not a stranger to any one of us. She's a renowned author, and she knows what she's talking about. I'm just going to pass it on to Andrea. Andrea, give us an introduction to people who are just coming to your world, people who've probably never heard of what you do. Who are you, Andrea?
First off, thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to meet you officially, right? For the first time seeing you. Yeah, so who am I? So my name is Andrea Cox. I live in Calgary, Alberta. My goodness, I'm a twin sister, I'm a sister, I'm a super auntie, I'm a daughter. The list kind of goes on, but what do? I do something very different. I'm actually a licensed pre-planning specialist. And I know people are wondering, what is that? First of all, my passion is educating people on the importance of putting an exit plan in place before something happens. And this means whether it is, something critical or more so if it's a death, unfortunately. So someone who passes away. So I actually sell prepaid funeral packages in Alberta and in BC. And I'm a new author. So I've recently published a book called Final Departure. And the book pretty much, we'll
talk about the book.
We'll talk about the book after. Sounds good.
Okay, we just went to do a small introduction because I didn't have that in my notes. I can't believe this is the first time we're meeting. It feels like I've known you forever.
But yeah, we've been talking all the time over the phone.
Oh, this pandemic. It feels like I've known you a long time.
It does.
Actually, we've been communicating for years.
All the time over the phone because you're in Edmonton, I'm in Calgary, and it just never worked that we seen each other. So I was like, wow, finally.
Oh, I hope I didn't disappoint you much.
Oh, girl, you're as gorgeous as ever. Absolutely not.
Same here. You look really lovely. Thank you again,
Oh,
Andrea,
bless
for
you.
doing this. It's World Book Day, and the book we're considering tonight is Final Departure. And boy, what a title. The accountant before said two things are certain. You die and you pay your taxes. And you are here to say two things are certain. One thing is certain, you will have a final departure.
Right.
Why did you write the book?
For the last, so I have been working in this industry altogether we're pushing on almost 7 years. So we've been doing seminars, we've been doing webinars, and although people are coming out and they're getting that information, it's almost like it's not sticking or there's no action behind it, right? And there's that saying that says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So this is where the book came about. So the book is more to help people to read it through. So it's a very easy book, although it looks big. It's like a textbook, but it's an easy read. And it's also in big letters. And, it's just to educate people on the importance of having an exit plan. And it's not just about us. First of all, the stats is 1 out of 1, right? We're all going to go. It's not a matter of if, it's when. That's the reality, right? So we need to start asking ourselves, what is our legacy? And once we start asking ourselves those questions, what we want our legacy to be like, that's when we can start planning in advance. And I know people looked at my book and they're like, well, I don't need this book because I'm not dying. And it's not about us dying. It's about us putting a plan in place. And it's not just about us, it's about people around us. Because if our family, our parents, our siblings don't have a plan in place themselves, it falls on us. So the purpose of the book is to help to educate us, to understand the why. And then as you're reading through the chapters, when you go and actually back the book, and there our work, it's a workbook. So what happens is that it's going to be there for our loved ones to guide them during that difficult time, because there's step-by-steps in there, and there are, what to do the first 24 hours after somebody dies. And then also once we fill out the book, they could use it as their guide. So as we know, when someone passes away, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of chaos. their financial hardship, and there's also family breakdowns, right? So it's just to start having those uncomfortable conversations and just putting an exit plan in place and living life to the fullest. Like tomorrow is, because you don't know if tomorrow's going to be your last day, right?
It better not be.
Well, we hope it's not. We don't know.
I'm not going anywhere. I got my daughter to look after.
Right. And that's where it starts, is putting a plan in place. Like, we're saying that we're the biggest
Well, how old do you need to be? How old do you need to be though? I'm in my 40s. Do I wait till I'm in my 70s to get this plan together? Or I just
you should have
plan?
started when you're 18.
Oh, really?
18. We are adults. And the thing about it is that...
Why so early though?
Because, okay, such a good question. And I'm glad that we're going to tackle this tonight. Because at the end of the day, let's be real. And even when I look at myself, so I've been in this industry for almost 7 years. And, and it's crazy that when I think about the families I've been helping that's lost loved ones, they've been more younger people. And because we don't know, we want to make sure that there's something in place. You said that you have a daughter. When I used to work at my first job, when I started this industry, I would go to people's homes, and it was union members' homes. And I went to this couple's home and I asked them if they have a will. And they told me yes. And usually, like when I go to homes and I would ask that question, people would always say no. So when they actually told me yes, I was really surprised. And they told me that the reason why they have got their wills in place is because a close family member died from domestic violence. And when they went to the funeral, the children were there with social services. And this is why it's so important, especially when we have children, that we put a will in place, because that's our voice when we are no longer here. Right? So that's why it is so important. And as adults, so, it's not just the wills, but there's the enduring power of attorney. There's a personal directive. And those are legal documents if you lose mental capacity. And that can be from just an accident. It doesn't have to be Alzheimer's or dementia, right? So, and that is delegating someone to take care of our finances and to take care of the decisions, like when it comes to where we're going to be living and things like that. So, when we think about even like DNRs, and that is do not resuscitate. So say, for instance, oh my goodness, something happens, we go to the hospital, and then there is that question whether we want to be resuscitated or not. And as adults, we need to know what we want, right? So I guess it's just part of being responsible and just putting a plan in place, but especially when we have children. The worst, and I always tell people, there's 3 times we can discuss this topic: on a normal day, and we can laugh, talk, figure this all out, have fun with it, right? Or in a crisis. Someone, let's say, has been in an accident, and now you're trying to piece things together. Or it's going to be when someone dies. Those are our 3 options. They're all difficult. But I promise you that the last 2 is even more difficult. So it's so much easier to do it way in advance. Oh, you're muted, sweetie.
Sorry. I come from a culture where talking about death is a taboo. So, like, if I try to talk about end of life with my mom, she may think I'm after prized properties in Lagos, Nigeria. So I don't go there because I'm not a thief. I work for my money. She's worked for properties. It's really hard. It's really hard.
It is.
And it's really hard. That's just.
It is.
So how do you find that more people are embracing that conversation right now? Are people less afraid to plan what happens at their transition?
Such a good question. I don't know if it's so much that they're embracing it more, but because we're talking about it more. You know what I mean? So and they're understanding the why. And I'm at the point where I ask people, like, you know what? If you know someone who has lost a loved one, ask them what was their experience like, like, and if they could do it, like if something could have been different, what would they have done differently, right? And we only know what we know, and if we haven't experienced it, we have no clue. So we can only learn from those around us. And you're completely right. This topic is so taboo in our community. We don't want to talk about it. We're not going to die. And because we are not going to die and we don't want to talk about it, this book is for all of us. Because it's not even just about us, it's about those around us, right? So I have a twin brother. I have an older sister. She has 3 kids, and my parents are senior. And the thought of this, if something happens to me and it falls on them, I'm not at peace. So I've made sure that I've done everything. And then what I've done is, by me doing it, I've booked the appointments and I've got stuff done for them, because I know that if anything happens to any of them, it's going to fall on me. I don't work well under chaos. I don't work well under stress. So it's to figure out what they have, what they don't have, and start working out a plan. So, and you know, especially when it comes to our parents who do not want to talk about it, it's almost better that we go to them saying, do you know what, I've done this, I've done that. If something happens, so we'll be the example. And because we have it, they're going to want to be a part of that. And that's what I've noticed has helped with some of the families.
Andrea, I hear you here. I want to talk about the fact that many people in our community die, and when they pass, we see this GoFundMe. And sometimes I find it embarrassing, and I say, "Oh, this will never be at my demise." Like, we do need to plan. We do need to plan.
And you know what I've noticed when it comes to these GoFundMes is that if it's, say, something sudden, let's say it's an accident, or if it's a child over someone who's young, you'll notice that a lot of times the family would get a lot of money or something. I don't want to say a lot of money, because there's not enough money in a GoFundMe to fund a family who did not have a plan in place, and there's not hundreds of thousands and possibly millions of dollars in place. Now, why am I saying that? The GoFundMe is going to only take care of the funeral fund, right? And when I think about even an insurance policy, like a term insurance policy, that's our paycheck protection. So that is supposed to be there for our family when we are no longer there. So we are here, we are working. Something happens to us, that money needs to still come in, right? So when you say, if you're making, say, $50,000 a year, and 10 years, so 50,000 times 10 is that 500,000? Do you know what I mean? Like, if we can look at it that way, and this is why it's so important that we have our protections in place. So, yeah. And then if it's someone who is sick, or let's say terminally ill, or even more senior, I've noticed that some families do not get much support, right? So it's about protecting yourself. And it's interesting, because I have a twin brother, and seriously, guys, I pay his insurance premiums more so because at a young age, I realized that if anything happens to my parents, he has 2 children, what's going to happen, right? And I even have an ex, and I was paying it for a long time, and I don't even think he even realized I have been. And I did it up to a certain time, because I realized that if something happens to him, his family is in, his parents are in Winnipeg, his children are in Edmonton. But if anything happened, it's more for the kids, but at least to kind of get things going. Because the thing about it is that people don't realize that when we go to the funeral home, first of all, they're going to be asking the family, is there executor? And the executor is on the hook for this bill. And keeping in mind that depending on which funeral home you use, that money needs to be in place before even a service happens, right? And this is why there's so much stress and so much chaos, because if you don't know what that experience is like and you go to the funeral home, it's one thing losing a loved one, but now having that financial pressure on you that you don't know where this money is coming from. There's times that people think that, well, so-and-so had insurance. Well, life happens. it lapsed, maybe they lost their job, they stopped paying it, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking that it's almost better that I pay whoever's insurance policies that surround me that I know is going to fall on me more than myself, because at the end of the day, this is going to sound bad. I'm gone. At that time, it's not going to be my problem, right? And this is why people do this thing. Well, I'm dead anyways. Who cares? That's not the way to look at it. Do you know what I mean? But that's what ends
it's
up
not
happening.
fair. I hear what you're saying. Now, a lot of us are on social media. In your book, you have a chapter looking at digital legacy. Why did you include that there? How
One of the
these
reasons
days?
is that when someone passes away and you get that phone, we can't get into the phone because of privacy laws. So, it's important that we either let our family know what that password is. So now your loved one is gone, you have their phone. You can't go into their phone to find numbers. They'll be able to answer the phone. It's only, I want to say last year, the end of the year, Apple has done a legacy part to their program, and I've added it to the book. But, it's so important when it comes to that. Okay, so we have a business and we have our computers and it has all of our stuff in it, right? So now our business partners can't get into the computer. So it's things like that what we don't think about, that if something happens to us, our family can't get into to try to kind of get things done, right? And it's like trying to be an investigator, trying to figure out passwords, and some passwords you're just not going to get access to, right? So, and once again, this topic overall, it's not one of those topics that people don't talk about, and it's not until you lose a loved one that you get stuck in trying to figure things out during the most difficult time of your life.
I see why what you do is very important, Andrea. I've got a final question for you. It's World Book Day today, and I know you're going to be recommending your book. Oh, the question actually is, what book would you recommend? So you have the opportunity to give your book a plug-in.
Well, we've talked about my book. So, what's another book that I would recommend? Since I've been in this author world, I've met two other ladies that's done books for seniors. And I'm forgetting the name of the books. I wish I knew what this question was. But it's on senior care. One is We Can Do This. You Can Do This. And it is from Lori Morales. And the other one, oh my goodness, girl, I'm sorry, I can't remember. But it's all about senior planning as well. And I guess that's just my world at the moment. My parents, they're both seniors. So, it's just learning. So if and when there is a crisis, the more we can learn in advance, the easier it will be during those crisis times.
Oh yeah, I think I know Lori Morales' book. She's our editor.
Yes.
I think I know the book. What I'll do is I'll put it up at the end of the broadcast. We have to end it now. I am tired.
Oh my girl, you've done amazing. I can see how long you've been on here for, over 2 hours. Wow.
Yeah, 2 hours. But I'm still here, but this was amazing, and I'm really grateful, Andrea, for you coming, and for everyone who stayed this late on a Saturday night. Someone said to me one time, Saturdays are for parties. We on social media on a Saturday night.
After a certain age, I don't know about this whole party thing anymore.
Well, I suppose or just relaxing, Netflix, or Pure Flix, or whatever Flix works, that's the Saturday night. So we are here doing very important community work. So
yes, good for you.
Yeah, I hope we can we talk again soon, Andrew, and I urge people to get the to get the book Final Departure. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm gonna leave you with this song. Thank you to the Maiden for being the technical producer tonight for the videos, and to all our guests, thank you so much. We appreciate your support. We hope to see you at some point next month. Good night.